Pearlie and the Cherry Blossom Fairy by Wendy Harmer, illustrated by Gypsy Taylor. It was springtime in Japan when Pearlie the park fairy flew over the old city of Kyoto, and the famous cherry trees were in bloom, buds and blossoms. Everything is pink. Pearlie sighed happily. The whole of this park is perfectly pink. When Pearlie was named Fairy of the Year, she had left her home in Jubilee Park to visit all the other park fairies in the world. What a life it must be, she thought, to live here in the flowering cherry trees of Japan. She wiggled like a green emerald magic ladybird, and it flew off through clouds of rosy petals. On a she and Pearlie turned to see an elegant fairy dressed in a gloriously embroidered silk gown. "My name is Akiko," she said as she bowed low. "Welcome to the park of the Imperial Palace. Will you have some tea?" "Yes, please," Pearlie replied. Akiko lived in an old lantern carved from stone. Its roof was covered in soft green moss. "It's lovely," said Pearlie. "It's very cozy when the smoke comes." Akiko smiled. "Please leave your boots by the door." Pearlie was very pleased. She had worn her best frilly socks. She sat at a low table, and Akiko served a delicious breakfast of honey sugary cakes and a bowl of hot green tea. "Thank you," said Pearlie. "In Japan we say arigato," said Akiko. Everything sounded very strange to Pearlie. She had never met a Japanese fairy before, and had so many questions to ask. She learned that Akiko's lovely dress was called the kimono, and that konnichiwa meant "oh." "My job is to care for all the cherry trees, the sakura in the park," said Akiko. "I sing to them and let them know spring is coming. It's very important that the sakura make a lovely display." Pearlie nodded. At home in Jubilee Park, she was always very proud when the roses looked their best. "Soon the park will be crowded with visitors who come to see the flowers," said Akiko, "and my home is the perfect place to watch all the parties from without being seen." Pearlie and Akiko peeled out of the old stone lantern. All morning, families and friends came by to spread picnic blankets under the trees. They ate, played games, strolled by the pond, and took lots of photographs of the branches heavy with blossoms. "Everyone in Kyoto loves cherry blossom time," declared Akiko. "Look," cried Pearlie as she pointed with her wand. "That flower is moving all by itself." Akiko giggled. That's a paper umbrella, and under it is my friend Yuki. He's helping himself to the picnic treats." Pearlie looked again, and sure enough, there was a mouse carrying away the whole tea cake. "I hope Yuki's hungry," laughed Pearlie. "That's a whopping pig for a very small mouse." Rumble! The two fairies were startled to hear thunder. The sun disappeared behind towers of black clouds. "It's a spring storm," shouted Akiko. Pearlie pulled her wings tightly around her. She did it like storms, and the next moment, huge hailstones came smashing down. All over the park, the visitors grabbed their picnic blankets and their bags and balls. They ran through the gates as fast as their legs could go. "Tasukiti kudasai!" They shrieked. "They're calling for help!" cried Akiko over the deafening noise of hailstones on the roof of the lantern. Crash, clatter. Out came a terrified whiz. Pearlie and Akiko looked up, and there was Yuki. He was holding his paper umbrella and being blown high into the sky. Giant balls of ice spattered the cherry trees. The wind howled, and the air was filled with swirling petals. Bang! The mighty hailstone hit the roof of the old stone lantern. Crack! Suddenly it was split right down the middle. Huge hailstones pelted onto the floor, and the freezing wind whipped through the lantern. Pearlie and Akiko grabbed the edge of the front door and watched as Akiko's kimonos and furniture were all picked up and whisked away. "Out of sight, hurly-burly!" shouted Pearlie. And then, just as quickly as it had started, the storm stopped. The sun peeped out from behind the clouds, and Pearlie and Akiko looked out from their hiding place. They were amazed to see that every single cherry tree was as bare as could be. All the blossoms had been torn from the branches and were lying in a thick pink carpet on the ground. "This is terrible," wailed Akiko. "And where is my friend Yuki?" "I beg." The whiz came again. Pearlie spotted a candy figure clinging to the roof of the Imperial Palace. "There he is!" exclaimed Pearlie. "We'll go and help him. Quickly, let's find our wands." But Pearlie and Akiko could not find them. The lantern was perfectly bare. Their wands had been blown away across the park, along with everything else. "We'll have to fly Yuki down instead," said Pearlie, and she was off with a very saucy Akiko after her. On top of the palace roof, Yuki the mouse was shaking with fright. He squealed. "Please help me!" Akiko held Yuki's shivering paw. "This is my new friend Pearlie," she said. "We will get you down." "Take our hands," said Pearlie. The two fairies tried very hard to lift Yuki, but sadly the little mouse had eaten one too many cakes. It was just too heavy. Yeah, sobbed Yuki. Why will we do not wail the people? Then Pearlie had a very good idea. You go and find Yuki's umbrella, she sang to the people. I've got work to do. Pearlie flew down to the grass and began to pick up the fallen cherry blossom petals. It was hard work without her one, but soon enough she had pushed them into a great pile. Yuki, wait until a breeze comes. Hold your umbrella. And then Jumbo, Pearlie called. Just then a soft wind sang through the branches of the cherry trees. Now, shouted Pearlie. Yuki leapt from the roof holding his paper umbrella. It was a bit ragged from the storm, but still strong enough to hold him. The breeze blew Yuki this way and that, down and down. He floated with the people flying close behind. One Yuki landed safely in the soft pink petals. Great, cried Kiko as she clapped her tiny hands. Yuki climbed from the petals and bowed very low. Arigato, honorable friend Pearlie, he squeaked. How may I assist you? Well, Pearlie replied thoughtfully. Could you help us find our ones? I'd read Yuki and he screamed off. Kiko looked at her broken lantern. I'll have to find a new place to live, she said sadly. There are so many lovely lanterns in the park, said Pearlie. It might be fun to have a new house for the spring and summer. Why, yes, it would agree to Kiko. Pearlie and Kiko spent the afternoon climbing in the Imperial Park. They looked at many lanterns. Some were made of spunk and others of paper. Some were too roomy and others too small. Then they spied a beautiful one painted as red as cherries. It's perfect, said Kiko. At that moment, Yuki came scampering across the scattered pink petals. He held a precious fairy wand in each paw. Pearlie and Kiko were very glad to see them. Thank you, Arigato, they cheered. Yuki bowed once more, very pleased to have been of service. I saw all of Kiko's furniture to be puffed, but I'm afraid all her pretty kimonos landed in the pond and have been nibbled by the golden carp, fish, and frogs. Gasped Pearlie. He yelled at Kiko. It does not matter. I can surely make new ones. Pearlie zoomed off to look for Kiko's furniture. She found her bag in a bush and her teapot up a tree. Pearlie was thrilled and used her magic to zap Kiko's belongings into her new home. Kiko got to work. The clever little fairy gathered an armful of petals and got her sewing kit full of pins and needles and beautiful silk threads. That evening in the lovely new lantern, Pearlie and Kiko feasted on blossom buns, petal sushi, and cherry feasts that Yuki had made. Then Kiko modeled her petal kimonos, all handmade in shades from deepest rose to snowy white. She had collected moss and leaves to make shawls and white bony belts. You are the prettiest fairy in all Japan, sighed Pearlie. Yuki agreed. In the days that followed, Pearlie met all the creatures that live in the Imperial Park. She rode on the backs of the tortoises, swam with the golden carp, and played hide and seek with the dragonflies. When the cherry trees were at last covered in bright new leaves, Pearlie knew it was time for her to go. Queen Emerald's ladybirds soon ran to take her away. Kiko offered Pearlie a small gift tied with scarlet ribbon. I will never forget you, she said. Every time the cherry trees are covered with buds, I will think of Pearlie the park fair, and I will think of you too, said Pearlie. When spring comes to Jubilee Park, and the golden flowers burst on the wattle trees, I'll remember cherry blossom time in Japan. Pearlie bowed to her new friends, Siamar and said to Kiko and Yuki. That means goodbye. But not forever, said Pearlie as she kissed them both. Pearlie jumped on board the ladybird, and they took to the spot. She heard Kiko's voice call through the bare branches. Nothing is forever, not even the famous cherry blossoms of Kyoto. Pearlie unwrapped her gift and found a small pearl that had been gathered from an oyster shell in the Imperial Pond. She sniffed back a little tear and then she smiled. She was off looking forward to her next adventure. The end.
Thanks for watching. Stall that like button and subscribe, and I'll see you later. Goodbye.